Hi guys. Today we're doing something different, something new, something mathy, of course. Consider this the first episode of a series I'm calling Rating Equations in Math Like They Were Food. This should be fun, especially since the star of today's episode is none other than the Pythagorean Theorem, which you might remember from your high school days in your Algebra 1 class, or maybe not, because you decided to repress those memories forever. In any case, we will not be diving into the weeds about the Pythagorean Theorem today. No, this is not that video. I will not be showing you how it works or examples of the Pythagorean Theorem. This video is all about judging the Pythagorean Theorem based on these 5 factors. First factor, its presentation or its looks. Second factor, its ease of use, or, well, how easy it is to use. Third factor, its value, or how versatile is it in the world of math. Fourth factor, its exclusivity, or how well known is it by the general public. Is it rather common, or is it only known to a few number of people in the world? And lastly, its taste. What do I mean by the taste of an equation? I mean, what is the thing that separates it from all other equations, right? What is the je ne sais quoi of the equation? That ineffable quality about it that distinguishes it from other equations, right? Or how does it make you feel when you're using it, let's say. Yeah, those would be the 5 factors that we'll be judging the Pythagorean Theorem today on. So let's get right into it. So its presentation. How does the Pythagorean Theorem look? You'll be hearing also some train noises in the background today because I am shooting at a different time, so just letting you know. Anyway, I think the Pythagorean Theorem is rather beautiful. I mean, don't you think? Look at all the symmetry with the powers, right? A squared plus b squared equals c squared. It even rolls off your tongue. And let me tell you something about mathematicians. They are all a sucker for elegance, elegant equations. So I'm no different. So this is an easy 10 out of 10 for me for the presentation of the Pythagorean Theorem. Okay, moving on to the ease of use. How easy is it to use the Pythagorean Theorem? And I think it's rather easy, actually. Yeah, I think you just need to have some mastery over powers and roots, squares and square roots in particular, and also like a basic idea of how arithmetic works, algebra works. And you should be good. So I'm gonna give this an 8 out of 10 for the ease of use. Okay, next up we have the value, and I think this is where the Pythagorean Theorem really shines, because not only is the Pythagorean Theorem just a theorem about right triangles, but those right triangles show up in many different areas of math. For example, you'll find them in polar coordinates, vectors, complex numbers. Additionally, if you swap out that equal sign in the Pythagorean Theorem with these 2 inequality signs, you actually now get a way of determining whether a given triangle is obtuse or acute. So that's kind of cool. And moreover, if you attach this extra term at the end, we now get the law of cosines in math, which is just an upgraded Pythagorean Theorem. Excuse me. A Pythagorean Theorem 2.0, let's say, which I think is a much cooler name than the law of cosines. Because the law of cosines can now work not just for right triangles, but also for acute or obtuse triangles. So yeah, you get so much value out of the Pythagorean Theorem. So this is also an easy 10 out of 10. All right, next up we have exclusivity. And this is where the Pythagorean Theorem meets its demise, because I think if you ask anyone on the streets what is one theorem they remember from their high school days in their math classes, it would be the Pythagorean Theorem. So I think this is a very commonly known theorem by the public. And as a result, I'm gonna have to give it a 1 out of 10. So not that exclusive, which is also good. This means that our math teachers did their jobs well. And so everyone is, or I think everyone is, aware at least of the Pythagorean theorem. If not the equation, then at least the name. And that brings us to the final category, the taste, the je ne sais quoi of the equation. How does it make me feel when I'm using the equation? And honestly, I can say it makes me feel pretty good. Not just because it's very easy to use, but also when I'm using it, I feel a connection with the ancient mathematicians that lived before me. Because this is a very ancient formula, a very ancient equation. I believe it dates all the way back to the Babylonians in the 1900s BC. Not to the Greeks, to the cult of Pythagoras, even though that's what the theorem is named after. This is another example of Stigler's law of eponymity. Feel free to Google that. But yeah, it's a very old formula. And whenever I'm using it, I feel this connection through time to my mathematical brothers and sisters of days long past. So it makes me feel connected. So because of that, I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. Yeah, 7 out of 10. Sounds about right. So let's total everything up and see what we get. 36 out of 50. Okay, so according to this very scientific scale that I just made up, that means the Pythagorean theorem is rather mid, or a B plus if I'm feeling generous, which I am. So the Pythagorean theorem is a B plus in my book. Let me know in the comments down below if you agree or disagree with that rating. I am open to be persuaded otherwise. Also, let me know if you have another equation you would like to see me rate. I think I rather like this whole concept actually, so I would like to see a second episode. In any case, thank you for watching. If you did like this content, please consider liking and subscribing down below. I would greatly appreciate it. And as always, stay sharp out there. If the Pythagorean theorem was a food, what kind of food would it be? I think a cheeseburger. Yeah. Just because both are just so reliable. You can always depend on them to be good.